Hello and welcome to our quick training session for the critical queue for all the new level 5 workers. I'm here in Crowd Virtualizer, and right here you can see the special handling critical queue. For this task, you have to know that it's very limited in time. The tasks are usually between 1 minute or sometimes even 15 minutes long, and they need to be returned as soon as possible and with the highest quality as possible. So to access the tasks, I click here on View, and then I get the first task right away. So let's mute this real quick. What I have to do for this task is really clearly stated right here. We have special guidelines here for the critical turnaround media. Very important to know is that we need clean verbatim for these tasks. This means if there are any stutters, like the thing is we don't know what the market is going to do, or the state of the market is improving. This needs to be changed to a clean verbatim. That means all stutters or all repetitive words need to be removed. For ease of use, we also added a quick glossary here of common reporter names that appear a lot. So we really expect you to look up the reporter names. Please take the time really quick, put it in Wall Street Journal, lunch break, Wendy Bounds, and you will find the name if it's not in here. But we will, however, keep updating this glossary so you have easier access to all reporter names. Another important note is that sometimes the tasks may be missing snippets. This is unlikely, but it could happen. This means there's like maybe 25 seconds of audio which has not been transcribed yet. Please do transcribe those missing parts. This is very much essential to this work. Also very important to know is that almost all these videos have an introductory music, and this needs to be tagged with music or sound. Please do not put noise or anything. If you find these short sounds in the middle of a video, sometimes at the 15 minutes videos you can find these, where there's a quick swoosh or like a quick sound that is similar to that. Please do not necessarily transcribe it if it's really short. If, however, there's blank audio or music in the middle of a video that is longer than 2 to 3 seconds, please transcribe it with music tag and audio tag, blank audio or something, or whatever would be equivalent to that thing. These tasks are our highest paying tasks. They pay 20 cents per media minute, and you will receive an additional 10 cents per media minute if the job is not rejected in quality control. So it's really worth the time to take the time and really look over it again. As I said, where the goal here is for completion of accuracy of 100%. Really important to remember is also the speaker change flags should be always correct. So when there's a reporter talking to another reporter, please always make sure the speaker change flags are correct. Please do not place any speaker change flags in front of sound or music tokens, because they're not counted as dialogue. Okay. Okay, so the next thing here is this is basically like a full text review, but on top of it, we need you to fix all timing errors. This means do not flag it, but fix it, actually. Just like in the timing tool, we need you to fix the timing here right away. Also, if there's some kind of noise or background talk, sometimes in the Wall Street Journal, for example, when Simon Constable is talking, you will hear some background noise from the office that he's in. This does not need to be transcribed if it's not essential for the course of the report. If it's, however, longer than 2 seconds or 3 seconds and there's nothing being talked at the same time, then do transcribe it. Thank you. Here below, you can take some time and look at these when you enter the queue and look at some of these examples here to see what the exact perfect transcription would be. All right, so you have to accept the guidelines, click here, and then the next thing you have to do is accept here. You can see again the task is gonna be 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I pause it so I can turn the volume up now. You will see we'll have only 45 minutes to submit this task. If you do have a longer task and you cannot make it within those 45 minutes to submit that task, we would please ask you to work until there's maybe 1 minute left, then hit save on this task, then return the task, then return the task, or then sorry, not return, hit save, and then just let it expire. Okay. Once it expired, you can then go back to the queue. Let me show you this real quick. You can then go back to the queue and find the task in here again. Okay. Well, this one right now tells me I have too many tasks accepted since I have the other task accepted already. But if you do let this expire, you will find it right away back in the queue. So just let it expire, click on tasks, click on the queue, and then it will pop up right away. And then accept it again and finish it up. If you happen to not be able to catch that task, then please email us with the media length here, and we will make sure you will still get paid for that task. Please let us know how far in you were. For example, if you only made it to 10 minutes, then we will pay you out the 10 minutes that you worked for. Okay, so let me show you real quick and make sure we get this done here. Let me show you real quick the first step here. As you can see, there's music, as you just heard already, there's music playing in the beginning. And then the first thing he says, hi, I'm Wilson Rothman. So we're just going to take a look really quick if the timing is correct, so I can show you right away how to retime it if something is off. Okay, so we will look right here. The timing, this text here needs to be in the yellow once the guy here talks. If this is too early in the yellow highlighted box, that means it's too early. We need to retime it. All right, so let's restart this. As you can see, this snippet here jumped already into the yellow box, even though the speaker was not even talking yet. I'll let this run to make it more clear. See, it's already in the yellow box, but we haven't heard a single word of what was said here. And it already ran several seconds.
Hi, I'm Wilson Roth.
Now he starts. So what we have to do now, this one is wrong. This snippet is jumping in too early. So what we want to do, we enable the timing mode here. And then we click play here, and then it will start playing. And once we hear him talk, right, then we click the spacebar. Please be aware that in the timing mode, it's always important, whatever is being said currently is up here. So the music that plays, that we will hear playing right now, is up here. And what is coming is down here. This allows us to time it so we can always see, okay, what is the next thing that comes up? All right, let's try this. Music is playing. I will not hit anything until he says, hi, I'm Wilson Rothman.
Hi, I'm Wilson Rothman from the Wall Street Journal, and I'm here today with Genevieve Bell. She's an anthropologist with Intel. I'm used to finding or hearing about anthropologists.
So I'll keep following the text and make sure that I retime the next one again.
One of them, and it does feel a little bit like, a jungle.
Okay, so see, this is what happened here. I was not fast enough. So what I can do is I hit Control Backspace and go back 4 seconds so I can retime this snippet again.
Native environment here, an anthropologist with.
As you can see, the time here changed backwards. Let me show you this again. Watch the 13 seconds. Once I hit Control Backspace, it will go back 4 seconds.
Intel. I'm used to finding or hearing about anthropologists wandering through Intel.
14 seconds.
I'm used to finding or hearing about anthropologists wandering through the jungles. Is this your native environment?
It's certainly one of them, and it does feel a little bit like, a jungle or a field site. So yeah, I'm an anthropologist by training.
So once I did 1 or 2 after the messed up snippet, then I can go back and check again if it's correct. So let's listen to it again.
Hi, I'm Wilson Rothman from the Wall Street Journal, and
did you see how it was correctly timed right here? It jumped right at the moment when the guy was talking.
I'm here today with Genevieve Bell. She's an anthropologist with Intel. I'm used to finding or hearing about anthropologists wandering through the jungles. Is this your native environment?
It's certainly one of them, and it does feel a little bit like.
Okay, so the timing is not fine. So what I want to make sure now is here is a period, is a comma, but we do want a period here. After every snippet, every sentence that is ended, we want to make sure there's a period. And I'm not sure if this Genevieve Bell is spelled correctly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look really quick. Anthropologist Intel. I'm just going to Google that. There we go. So right here, Dr. Genevieve Bell. All right, it's correct. Genevieve Bell. All right, so we can keep going.
Hi, I'm Wilson Rothman from the Wall Street Journal,
and very helpful is sometimes too when the reporters introduce themselves, they always, most of the times they show up here, the names show up, so I can compare. Wilson Rothman from the Wall Street Journal is correct.
I'm here today with Genevieve Bell. She's an anthropologist with Intel. I'm used to finding or hearing about.
Did you hear how he basically stuttered? I used to, so I'm going to remove one of these here. So I just want one, and also this is a new sentence, so I'm going to break this up into sentence, and this will automatically jump down. So I'm going to enter the period, and it will automatically jump down. Period.
About anthropologists wandering through the jungle.
So now I want to make sure this is still the timing is correct. Let's see this.
Hi, I'm Wilson Rothman from the Wall Street Journal, and I'm here today with Genevieve Bell. She's an anthropologist with Intel. I'm used to finding or hearing about anthropologists wandering through the jungles. Is this your native environment?
It's certainly one of them, and it does feel a little.
So now the first part at least is fixed. All right, so let's keep going.
A little bit like, a jungle or a field site.
So here, unknown. This is clearly audible, so I can change this. She said a jungle or a field site.
A jungle or a field site. So yeah, I'm an anthropologist. A jungle or a field site. So yeah, I'm.
So here again, the timing is a little off, so I'm going to retime this again. When you can see that this snippet here jumps up, even though she didn't even say the word so yeah. Let's play this again.
A jungle or a field site. So yeah, I'm an anthropologist.
You see this? Okay, so I'm going to enable timing mode again, hit play, and then hit the space bar once she says so yeah. I'm going to say now whenever I hit the space bar.
One of them, and it does feel a little bit like, a jungle or a field site. So yeah, I'm an anthropologist by training. So my job is to study people, get a sense of what makes them tick, what they care about, what they're passionate about, what frustrates.
So basically, I always hit the space bar whenever she says the first word of that new snippet, and as fast as possible, obviously.
So yeah, I'm an anthropologist by training. So my job is to study people, get.
Another thing I want to point out is that us and ums, we can strip them out with our automatic system, with an automatic system. So if they are there, you don't have to worry about them. If they're not there, you do not have to insert them, because we know that this customer automatically strips them out anyway. So if they're missing, it doesn't matter. And if they are there, they will get stripped out anyway. Just make sure they have the comma afterwards whenever they are there. Thank you.
A sense of what makes them tick, what they care about, what they're passionate about, what frustrates them, and then use all of that to help drive new technology design.
So this wearable.
Now there was a speaker change. Obviously, there's a speaker change error here.
Thing that's happening. I mean, is this a natural progression? Is this a I mean,
this is one sentence. I'm gonna here insert a comma, make this one sentence. Obviously, make this lowercase.
Is this a natural progression? Is this
again, here's repetitive words, so we don't want that. So this is a short snippet, so what I'm doing to fix this is I click pause really quick, and then he says,
are we wired for wearable, or is this something, are we wired for wearable, or is this something that.
So I would, to make this as clean verbatim as possible, and sometimes it's a little bit of a judgment call, I would leave the is this, since this is a stutter and he says it 2 times, And then he keeps going and actually says the correct word. Are we wired for wearable, or is it something that we?
Some learning. How's that? How's that? What's the? Is this? Are we wired for wearable, or is this something that that takes some learning? How?
Okay, the we should be removed. It's a stutter. This is something that was repeated, so I removed that too. That takes some learning.
Is this? Are we wired for wearable, or is this something that that takes some learning? How's that? What's the anthropology
I would actually leave this as it is.
side of this?
I mean, it's a really good question, right? At one level, we've worn stuff on our bodies, well, ever since there has been a body to put stuff on, right? And for at least 1,000, and for...
So there's an end in here. It's not even a sentence. So we always want to make sure it's more or less complete sentences. We know sometimes it's not possible since the people are speaking and there's not something like a perfect sentence when you speak without any speech prepared. So try the best. So I'm gonna merge these two. So listen to this again.
At one level, we've worn stuff on our bodies, well, ever since there has been a body to put stuff on, right? And for at least 1,000, 2,000 years, we've worn the technologies.
Again, that this is against our guidelines. It needs to be 1,000 or 2,000 years in numbers.
Of the day on our bodies, whether those were the boomerangs of the Aboriginal people that I grew up with, whether it's suits of armor, starting 500 years ago, eyeglasses we both would have had, which would have been good, ear trump, eyeglass.
So this belongs also, I believe, to that upper sentence. I would just separate it with a comma.
For at least 1,000, 2,000 years, we've worn the technologies of the day on it. Starting 500 years ago, eyeglasses we both would have had, which would have been good, ear trumpets. I mean, there's been all kinds of technologies we've put on our bodies. The moment we're in right now is that those there's been all kinds of...
That was a plural. You said body.
Technologies we've put on. I mean, there's been all kinds of technologies we've put on our bodies. The moment we're in right now is that those technologies can also be connected to something else. They can do more than those previous generations of technology did. But the idea of putting stuff on our bodies, that's hardly new.
So what was the switch that flipped that suddenly...
So I would remove this to make this a clear sentence. So what was the flip? What was
wearables was like... What was the switch that flipped that suddenly wearables was like a major mass device? Is it a pro? So what was the switch that flipped that suddenly wearables was like a major mass device? Is it a processing thing? Is it a...
So honestly, this is really hard. I cannot understand currently what he said. Maybe some of you guys can. If you can, please feel free to always translate. But if there are things that after repeated listening, you can still not make out, then it is okay in extreme cases to leave the inaudible in there.
But the idea of putting stuff on our bodies, that's hardly.
What we also can try one more time, I'm gonna play it at half speed to see if I understand it better what he says. I'm gonna hit Control 3 and you will see that it's half speed because this one turns blue.
So what was the switch that flipped that suddenly wearables was like a major mass device? Is it a processing?
He says something with master, but I'm not sure, so I'm just gonna put a major mass. I'm assuming it's major mass because he probably wants to say a major mass product. So I'm just gonna put my best guess here and then keep going.
So I
will turn it back to normal speed with Control 1.
What was the switch that flipped that suddenly wearables was like a major mass device? Is it a processing thing?
So here he repeats this again. I can just delete all this. Is it a
processing? Is it an internet thing? Is it data? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things, right?
So right here,
we have... Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination.
Is it speaker change? So insert speaker changers.
Things, right? One is that the affordances of the technology are now such that you could make things very, very small, which is necessary because most of us are not very, very big. You don't want to put the 88-inch OLED screen that I know you are eyeing off.
Okay, that was a hard one.
You don't want to put the 88-inch OLED screen that I know you are eyeing. The 88-inch OLED screen that I know.
I think she means Hewlett Packard.
who you were eyeing off over there on your body, because that would just look ridiculous.
I do not want to wear an 88-inch OLED screen.
So I think ridiculous.
I do
Sometimes
not want to wear an 88-inch OLED screen.
So I'd like to dare you to.
Okay, I gotta go to the gym first.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, there's some affordances of the technology, right? Microprocessors have gotten smaller, they've gotten more power efficient, because also, truthfully, you don't want to be carrying around a great honking battery. So technical affordances have changed. I think, the nature of the internet is different now, too. There's a much kind of greater appeal to the... I think, the nature of the internet is different now, too. There's a much kind of greater appeal to the idea of...
This one,
personal...
as you can see, this is two different tags, so definitely this P is wrong. We want to small caps that.
And tailored data.
And now it jumps up, as you were able to see that, right? And it's one sentence, so it has to be removed. The P has to be small caps.
So there could be a wearable object that's personal to just...
She said there, so there could be, instead of so
just you, and it does things you want. So there could be a wearable object that's personal to just you, and it does things you want.
And it does things.
And those things have kind of made it possible.
And those
things have kind of made it possible.
And those things have... Oh, sorry. And those things... This one was rude. Those things have kind of made it possible.
And I also think we're at a point of saying, what else is technology going to do for us and with us? And the space of technology on the body is kind of an obvious extension of that question.
So smartphones went from being kind of an elitist product to be...
Product, again here, small caps.
And the space of technology on the...
So smartphones went from being kind of an
put that together.
An elitist product to being a new norm, so to speak.
And I think this is elitist.
I mean,
oh, sorry, that was too slow for my side. Elitist product.
So smartphones went from being kind of an elitist product to being a new norm.
To being,
so to speak. I mean, you walk around, everybody's holding a smartphone. Is there a norm on the horizon where wearables, maybe head-worn cameras or other sorts of wearables, watches, smartwatches, where that is a new norm? Or is it? Are we in a growth?
Or is it doubled here? Is it? And then I will leave the RV in a growth.
I mean, are we just finding this stuff out?
Yeah, I reckon we're still at such at the beginning of this still, right? I mean, it took... Yeah, I reckon we're still at such at the beginning of this still, right? I mean, it took... before there were smartphones, there were mobile phones. You may remember those. Before those, there were phones that were tethered, and then there were wireless phones. We've got 100 years plus of phones.
This was a stutter.
Around us before they got quote
that.
So we've got 100 years plus of phones around us.
Comma here.
Before they got quote unquote smart. But I think the challenge here is we've got 100 years plus of phones around us before they.
So I'm looking up the quote unquote because I never remember how to spell that. So I would write it like here, quote unquote. That's what I thought. Just to make sure. So quote unquote.
So we've got 100 years plus of phones around us before they got quote unquote smart. But I think the challenge here is that with the phone it was clear initially. It's kind of promised.
There's no comma needed.
You the mobile phone, the first one that promised was you could go somewhere else, not be at your house, and receive and make phone calls. Quote smart. But I think the challenge here is that so we've got 100 years plus of phones around us before they got quote unquote smart. But I think the challenge here.
This one jumped a little bit too early, so I would retime it.
Phones around us before they got quote unquote smart. But I think the challenge here is that with the phone it was clear.
Disable the mode again, and then
initially it's kind of promised to you the mobile phone. The first one that's promised was you could go somewhere else, not be at your house, and receive and make phone calls.
This is on one sentence, maybe.
But I think that
with a comma.
Challenge here is that with the phone, it was clear initially. It's kind of promised to you. The mobile phone, the first one that's promised was you could go somewhere else, not be at your house, and receive and make phone calls. And then we suddenly worked out we could text each other, and that was even better than the calling.
Oh, yes.
Then there were cameras, then there was the internet, right? And I think, truthfully, at this point, judging by some of the phones you see at CES, people aren't making calls on them at all. They're using them for everything else, right? It's all other forms of.
I often get annoyed.
Right? It's all other.
I would not put in the crosstalk tag if everything is transcribed. I would only put crosstalk if it's not audible.
Forms of.
I often get annoyed when I get a phone. I'm like, why didn't this person just text me? Or I'll say, text me at this number.
Exactly right. So I'm going to think the problem. Exactly right. So I'm going to think the problem then in the wearable space is we.
So I'm double check that the speaker change errors are correct.
I'm like, why didn't this person just text me? Or I'll say, text me at this number.
So I would.
Exactly right. I'm going to think the problem then in the wearable.
The laugh is in human noise, so I would definitely make this an error chain and then we talk again.
Or I'll say, text me. Or I'll say, text me at. Or I'll phone. I'm like, why didn't this person just text me? Or I'll say, text me at this number.
Exactly right. So I'm going to think the problem then in the wearable space is we don't yet know what the promise is that the devices will make to us. And so I think we're really early, right? We're still experimenting. We've worked out we should put things on our wrists and on our heads. My CEO at Intel is showing stuff you can put in your ear. So there's sort of a movement here of other places, but there's all these other places in the body we decorate, we stick things on, thinking everything from smart clothing to what goes in our shoes to ingestible technologies to the stuff we wear. That's the entire space we get to operate in. Thinking everything from.
I think these are technologies.
To ingestible technologies to the.
Yep. Technologies.
Stuff we wear. That's the entire space we get to operate in. So early days. That's the entire. So early days.
All right. So I'm gonna hit submit here, and that's it. The episode is complete, and that's it. That would be the next task. So, right. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye.